When I was working at the Cochrane Resource Centre, there was a character that would come by. His name was Milt, and he used to shovel our walks for a cup of coffee. And he signifies to me what Cochrane's all about. I'd see Milt and I'd say, "How are you, Milt?" And he'd always come back with, "Better than you." Milt reminded me of my dad in that he was older than I was, and he had a good sense of humor, and when he smiled, he reminded me of my dad smiling. My dad used to smile all the time and was very outgoing and was a real strong community builder, and just like Milt was, except in a different way. Dad would make sure to remember everybody's name, and I remember visiting my dad towards the end of his life in Innisfail. We had this great big old house because I'm the youngest of 8, so there's lots of kids in this house. And I was looking all around this house for my dad and I couldn't find him. I looked out the window down the back alley and there was Mr. Perreault, another older gentleman, and my dad coming up the back alley. And so I went out and said hello to Mr. Perreault and collected my dad. I noticed he had some tears in his eyes. And as we were walking back towards the house, my dad said, "I was lost and Robbie's found me." And I brought him inside and we sat down and he started to cry. And his mind seemed to clear. And he said, "I've never told anyone this. When I was a lieutenant in World War II, we came back to collect more troops. And Robbie was one of the kids that we took back with us. Just before we left, his mother looked at me and said, 'Jackie, you take care of Robbie. You don't let anything happen to him.'" And then my dad said they got to their assignment on the front line, and Dad had told Robbie to stay in the foxhole. And Robbie started to advance up out of the hole, and my dad came right behind him, and Robbie was shot right through and fell back into my dad's arms, and my dad was shot in the thigh, and they landed in the foxhole, and the Red Cross found them a couple of days later. And Robbie was dead. And then my dad said, "You know, his mother hasn't spoken to me since." Maybe it's that age. They knew, they had learned that we're all in this together. They knew that it was important to think about everyone, not just themselves, and they got that somehow. It's people like my dad, people like Milt, other friends from Cochrane like Hugh Wearmouth, Muriel Camden. Those people have built this great place to live. They've shown us how to connect. They've cared about each other. They've cared about the generations coming up. They've paid attention to all the people in their community. And I miss those people. I miss those people that knew that we were all in this together. I used to love chatting with Milt, very briefly. You never chatted with Milt for too long. And his big smile. His smile used to remind me of my dad's smile. I miss my dad. And I'm hoping that those of us coming up in Cochrane can realize we're all in this together, and continue to connect, continue to smile and get to know each other and build a sense of community and connect to our environment, to each other, and to our sense of common spirit.